Hey, welcome to your Uncle Joe's Garage, outfitted by California Car Cover. Very special guest today, Jon Anderson of Yes fame. Welcome to the studio.
I can smell the oil.
One of the things about the garage, we always talk, what was your first car? Do you remember your first car?
Oh my gosh. I never had one. My brother had a Sunbeam Rapier,
Okay.
which are kind of cool cars. But
The name was much faster than the car.
The first car I eventually got was a Bentley Continental Fastback, a Mulliner, 1954. And I got it from a guitar player in a band who had a big hit record, and he went and bought a new one.
Of course.
And he sold it to me for £5,000.
Wow. Wow.
Which I couldn't afford, but
Oh, well. It's just, but
I
you
just
look good.
wanted it. You know,
Yeah.
if ever I wanted a car, it would be a Bentley Continental Fastback.
That's sweet.
Special. You know.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people don't realize you did designing for the stages for all the Yes tours.
Not all of them. I just came up with some ideas. You know, I'd always say, you know, we've got to put on a great visual show, because in those days you play to 15,000 people, and I always think about the people way at the back.
yeah,
What are
yeah.
they seeing? You know, so give them a light show and let's spend money on it, and we did. We all the way through the 70s. You know, we put on a big visual show.
Big show.
Yeah.
So have you done it for this tour?
No, we're doing the opposite. We're sort of like scaling it down. There are so many big visual shows, you can't compete, really. So we're just going to keep it nice and neat. And I think the most important thing about this tour is how we're going to grow on tour as a band, you know, and how we're going to, obviously we know all the music we're going to play, but we just got to sort of spread our wings musically on tour, and I think we will.
Jon Anderson and Jean-Luc Ponty playing Saban Theater on the 20th of November.
Yes, sirree.
Look forward to it. It's a beautiful venue.
Yeah, I heard, yeah.
Now, the new album, Better Late Than Never, Jean-Luc Ponty and Jon Anderson, has some great music on it. Some of it you've recorded before. Owner of a Lonely Heart
Yeah.
is one of my favorite treatments on this.
Yeah, good.
When you were first brought into that song for Yes,
Yeah.
they'd been recording it for quite a while, hadn't they?
They've been doing what became 90125. They've been actually recording for a year. And I was in south of France. I was working on 2 projects. And I came home for a weekend, and Chris rang me up and said, John, would you like to hear our new album, what I'm working on? I said, yeah, Christopher. So he drove around in his Rolls Royce, as one would do, you know, rock and roll. And I sat there, and he played me the tracks, and I was dumbfounded. I couldn't believe him. And it sounded really, really good. I think the thing that was missing was a strong lyrical content at times and a strong voice. But I didn't say anything, and he said, do you like it? And I said, it's damn good. He said, would you sing on it? And I said, well, yes. And if I do, of course, it'll be like a Yes band, right? And he said, yeah, that's what we want to do. We want it to be Yes. And so for the following 3 weeks, I just worked with Trevor Horn and Trevor Rayburn on, you know, designing some choruses that needed, and verses for Owner of a Lonely Heart needed to be done. And so I sat down and wrote some lyrics with Trevor, and then Trevor left and Trevor Horn got involved. But I just carried through with my thinking of how I wanted to sing it, you know. And then the rest is history.
Yeah, number 1, history.
Yeah.
Roundabout.
Yes.
The version of Roundabout really kicks on this as well.
Good.
The Roundabout was actually a transitional thing, wasn't it? You didn't really have a keyboard player at that point in time, is that when you brought Rick Wakeman in?
Do you know, I don't remember. No, actually, we wrote the song on the way, me and Steve wrote the song on the way from Aberdeen to Glasgow in Scotland. And there were about 50 roundabouts on the way down on this road. It's a long road, it's about 200 miles. And you drive through these, this valley, and the mountains, left and right, just go right up to the sky. But the clouds were so low, you couldn't see the top of the mountains. So I remember sketching down, mountains come out of the sky. This was part of the lyric, you know. And Roundabout was, you know, a big record for us. So it was very important to do it on the tour. When we did a show, we thought we were going to go on tour a month later, but that's a year ago. So that's better late than never, you see.
Speaking of things you did with Yes, Chris Squire, What do you miss most about Chris?
Well, I hadn't worked with Chris for 10 years,
Yeah.
so we sort of, you know, he carried on with Yes, and I was pretty ill for a while, and we didn't keep in touch much. But I remember when I found out he was sick, you know, I emailed him and then we spoke, because I just know that without him I wouldn't be who I am, you know,
Yeah.
because we started the band, and I wanted to thank him personally, you know, very much for helping me develop as an artist, as a musician. And we had a really good time talking about things, and then he got really sick, very bad, and he went to a hospital. And the next thing I heard, he was going to die, basically. And I meditated about him, and I connected with him on a more open level, you know, that I was so thankful for his lifetime, you know, and beautiful man, you know, crazy, but
I noticed, yeah.
yeah, but he was Darth Vader to my Obi-Wan Kenobi. He always said that. So.
A good comparison, too.
Yeah.
You actually recorded this album in Aspen, mainly at the Wheeler Opera House, I believe,
Yes.
and used Kickstarter.
Yes, it was interesting, Kickstarter. I think it was about beginning of 2000. We were just starting touring, and we were just actually recording as well. And I suggested to the guys in the band, why don't we get the fans to put up some money for the album rather than go to the record companies? Because record companies were getting a bit feisty about not paying out money because they want a hit record first. Well, what have you got? What have you done for us lately? Sort of attitude. So I said, we could do this fan club thing, you know, and they thought I was crazy. And here we are, years later doing it, you know, with Kickstarter. It just seemed logic that people get involved. It's like an adventure for them. It's an adventure for us doing the music and making an album. But for people to put in $20, $50, whatever they want to do, gosh, it gives them something to connect to, you know.
They have possession of some of it.
Yeah, and now they've got the T-shirts, they've got the record before anybody else. They've got special work that I did some lyrics and wrote some lyrics out for people. And I think it's a good idea. And, you know, Kickstarter's doing it for movies now. They're doing it for all sorts of art, dance theaters, plays, and everything, musicals. It's all being done with Kickstarter. Excellent. Because the people getting involved, which I think is a great thing.
Talking with Jon Anderson here. You've had a very long and illustrious career. You've played with very many people. I was surprised to find out that you actually opened for Cream on their final show. Wasn't it the final show?
The Albert Hall concert, yeah, the famous one.
How in the world, you hadn't been a band for very long at that point in time.
No, we'd actually done about 5 or 6 shows around London. We played at the Marquee Club, which was a very important place.
About the size of the garage here, I think.
Exactly. And the manager of this club called the Speakeasy asked us to do a gig there.
Yep.
And we said, okay, that was the same day. He rang me at 7 o'clock at night and said, the band hasn't turned up. So we actually did this show at the Speakeasy, and we replaced Sly and the Family Stone. So you can imagine all the great people that came to see Sly and the Family Stone. So Yes, in its infancy, you know. We actually went down well. I passed a lot of joints around and got everybody happy. And the next thing, the manager of the club said, I want to manage you, and by the way, in a month's time, you're going to play with Cream at the Albert Hall, because I can get you on that gig. And that's what happened. And we said, life is fun.
Yes, this is the way it's supposed to work.
Yes, come on.
What was your impression of Cream at their peak?
Amazing. Just unbelievable to me. And Jack Bruce's voice. And of course, you know, Eric's Ginger, man, they were one of the great bands. Great band. And they just had a great performance that night. So.
You toured with The Who very early on as well.
Yeah, it was about a month or so later. We went on tour, and the lineup was amazing. The Who were the headliners, then Rod Stewart and the Small Faces, Joe Cocker, Arthur Brown, Fire, and Yes, opened up. And we did about 10 shows together. It was a great moment.
Chris did not suggest after that you start lighting your hair on fire like
Yes,
Arthur.
he did.
He did. Chris Squire.
Anything.
Your music is so much a part of your soul. How often do you play guitar? Do you play every day? Do you play keyboards every day?
Almost every day, yeah.
Almost every day.
Yeah. I'm working on so many different things. Because of the internet, you get a chance to work with different people on different kinds of music. It's an adventure, like. wouldn't believe it, you know, that I would still be excited as I am today, you know, to be creating, developing ideas for the next 10, 20 years, you know.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us here in the
Thank
garage.
you so much, Joe.
Hey, I know that you, yes you, haven't been in the Uncle Joe's Garage yet, but I got some good news. We have created a mobile version of the Uncle Joe's Garage, thanks to our friends at Mike Thompson RV Superstores. Like they say, don't miss a moment. And don't miss the mobile Uncle Joe's Garage coming to location near you.